Hello and welcome to lesson 4 of the basic music theory course. In this lesson I want to look at major and minor scales, but we'll look at major scales first of all. You will need to know your flat and sharp rule quite well to be able to do this. I'll just briefly recap what they are. Your sharp rule is Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket, and you use it by counting back a letter with the key that you start with. And the flat rule is blanket explodes and Dad gets cold feet, and you use that by counting a word forward in the rule. Okay, so we'll do a couple of examples of the major scales first. We'll try E major, and I think we'll just keep it to the treble clef just to make it easier. Okay, so E major is what we're looking for. Okay, now it's not E flat major, it's just E major, so that should immediately indicate to you that you're using the sharp rule. Okay, so the sharp rule is you count back a letter from E and you get D. And your sharp rule is Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket, so it's Father Christmas gave Dad. Okay, so 4 sharps in E major. Okay, so draw your scale going up first of all. There we go. And I'll also draw descending as well, just to have both. Because in the minors you're going to have harmonic and melodic minors, so I'll do up and down, ascending and descending for each scale in this lesson. So here it is, descending. And that is it. Okay, so that's your E major scale, ascending and descending. And majors are quite easy because all you do now is apply these 4 sharps to the scale. Okay, so put in your F sharp, your C sharp, your G sharp, and your D sharp. And the same for descending, put in your F sharp, your C sharp, your G sharp, and your D sharp. And that's it. That's basically how you write or major scales, particularly E major. Okay, so all you need to do is whatever scale you're starting with, you have to know, are you using the flat or the sharp rule? Apply either the flat or the sharp rule to your key. That'll give you what accidentals to insert, and then write out your scale going upwards and then going downwards, and be sure to include every single line and space in your scale. Okay, don't miss any out. And then all you need to do is apply the accidentals that you've worked out. In this case it was F sharp, C sharp, G sharp and D sharp. So what we have here is the ascending and descending scale of E major. I'll try another one. This time I think I'll do a flat one just for variety. Hopefully be a bit of a recap as well on how to use the flat rule. Okay, so say we're looking for the scale of A flat major. Okay, so it's pretty obvious that you're using the flat rule because it's A flat major. The flat rule is you look for the flat that you start with, which is A flat, look for that in the rule and count a word forward. And remember, the flat rule is blanket explodes and Dad gets cold feet. So blanket explodes and, so there's where the A is, and count a word forward, Dad. Okay, so blanket explodes and Dad. And that's it. So A flat major just has the 4 flats, B, E, A and D. So you do the same thing as before. I'll do it ascending and descending. So remember, every single line and space needs a note. So this is going to be A flat major ascending. And also just squeeze an A in there, yep. And this is going to be it descending. And that's it, that's A flat major going up and down. So same thing as before, just apply these 4 accidentals to your scale. So B flat, E flat, A flat. Now remember, there are actually 2 A's. There's the one you start with and there's also the one you finish with, so they both need a flat. So although it looks like an extra flat, it's just A flat. It's just the same note. B, E, A, and D. Same thing for descending. Apply your B flat. Okay. Apply your E flat and also two A flats again, first and the last, and also your D flat. And that's it. That's the descending, sorry, that's the ascending first, ascending and descending scale of A flat major. Okay, so we'll look at the minors now. So we're looking for example, the scale of E harmonic minor. I'll get to what the harmonic part means in a second, but we just treat it as E minor, and you should know from lesson 3 how to find the accidentals of minor keys. Okay, so you count up 3 semitones from E to find its relative major. So 3 semitones up from E will get us G. So G major is the relative major of E minor. So you should know, this is where you need to know lessons 1 and 2, which rule are we using, the flat rule or the sharp rule. It's not G flat major, so you're not using the flat rule, it's just G major. So using the sharp rule, you count back a letter from G and you get F. And the sharp rule is Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. So you look to see where F is in that rule, and it's the very first one for Father, Father Christmas. So Father is the very first word, and it's the last sharp and it's the first sharp of G major. So G major has only the one sharp. Okay, so G major is quite an easy one, just one sharp. So if G major has one sharp, its relative minor, E minor, also has one sharp. Okay, so what we need to do then is add that F sharp into the scale of E minor. That's the first thing we do, add that F sharp into the scale of E minor. So let's draw our treble clef. We'll do the same, keep it to the same clef as what we had for the major scales. And then draw in your scale from E up to E and include every single line and space along the way. There we go. So that's E going up from E to E, and also descending, going down. There we go. And as I said, the very first thing we do is include this F sharp. So that's the first thing we do to write the scale of E harmonic minor. E harmonic minor will have an F sharp because that is part of its key signature. That is its key signature. Okay, so it just has the one sharp. E minor has just one sharp. So you include that in the scale. And what does this harmonic part mean? Well, unlike major scales, where you need to raise the 7th note going up and going down. Okay, so that's the difference between majors and minors. There's certain notes you need to raise. And for all harmonic minor scales, the 7th note of every single scale needs to be raised when you're ascending and descending, when you're going up and when you're going down. So what is the 7th note in E minor? I'll just count 7 up from E. E, F, G, A, B, C, D. That's your 7th note. So you raise it from D natural to D sharp, and it's raised going up and it's raised going down. So that is the scale of E harmonic minor ascending and also descending. 7th note must be raised going up and going down, and remember to include the accidentals that are part of its key signature. Okay, so there's 2 things to do. Unlike the major scales where you just add in the accidentals that are part of the key signature, for harmonic minors you also need to raise that 7th note going up and going down. The reasons for this are quite technical, which we don't need to go into, but I can explain the reasons why we do this for harmonic minors and why we do others, raise other notes for melodic minors. Okay, there is good reasons behind all this, but if you just want to know how to write E harmonic minors, or any harmonic minor scale for that matter, just remember to raise the 7th note going up and going down. Okay, so we'll try another one, I think, just for practice and also probably one that's a flat. Okay, so I'll just rub this out. Okay, so remember, add in the notes from your key signature and then raise the 7th note, and that will get you every single harmonic minor scale. So say we're looking for the scale of D harmonic minor. Same thing as before, when we were looking for E harmonic minor, we found its relative majors first. We count up 3 semitones from E minor to get G major, so G major was E minor's relative major. And now we need to count 3 semitones up from D to find its relative major. Counting 3 semitones up from D will get you F. So F major is the relative major of D minor. Now this is the tricky one. This is the one you've got to remember that doesn't use the sharp rule but doesn't have a flat in its name. Okay, so F major, you have to remember, has one flat, B flat. Okay, so it's a bit of a trick one, this F major, but it's a key signature on a scale that you should come into contact with very early on, especially if you're doing the associated board examinations. I think F major is a grade 1 scale and a grade 1 key. So you can just memorize that F major has one flat, but if you try to use the sharp rule, you'll run into difficulty, and it's not really great for the flat rule either. So if F major has one flat, B flat, that means that D minor also has a B flat. So again, let's draw our scale from D up to D. And remember, every line in space must get something. Okay, so that's D up to D. And again, descending, every line in space must get something. So once you've done that, then you do the same thing as before. Add in whatever your accidental from the key signature is first. So do that first. So you put in your B flat. There we go. That's it going up and going down. And also the same thing as what we did for E harmonic minor. You must raise the 7th going up and going down. So again, same thing as before. Count 7 notes up from D. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So C goes from a C natural to a C sharp, and it's raised going up and going down, so you need to put in the other sharp, other C sharp. So as you can see, when you're doing minor scales, there could be occasions where you're faced with flats and sharps within the same scale. I know it looks strange, it's very strange compared to the majors, which are all just either flats or sharps. When you get to minor scales, you can have a mixture of both, and in cases you can also have naturals and double sharps. We'll come to that later. Okay, so just remember that it's not uncommon to see more than one type of accidental in a minor scale. Okay, so that's D harmonic minor. Yeah, I think I'll try G sharp harmonic minor, just to give you some experience of what happens when you're raising notes that are already sharpened. Okay, so now we're looking for, oops, just do that. Now we're looking for G sharp harmonic minor. Okay, so remember, just go through the same process as before, find its relative major, count up 3 semitones, that gets you to B major. So you should know that you're using the sharp rule because it's not B flat major, it's just B major. So count back a letter from B and you get A. So A is the last sharp in B major, and use the sharp rule. Father Christmas gave Dad an. Okay, so B major has 5 sharps, and G sharp minor is also going to have 5 sharps in its key signature. So draw in your scale going up from G to G, every line in space included, and again for descending. There we go. G down to G. So there's quite a few sharps to include, as you can see here. Let's just go through them one at a time. You've got F sharp, going up and going down. You've got C sharp, going up and going down. You've got loads of G sharps because you're in G sharp minor, so you have a G sharp to start and a G sharp to end. Again, a G sharp to start and a G sharp to end. F, C, G, you need a D sharp as well, going up and going down. And you need an A sharp, going up and going down. Okay, there we go. So again, remember you have to raise the seventh going up and going down. Okay, so you can see that this is going to be quite strange for G sharp minor, because if you count 7 notes up from G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're hitting F, and F's already sharpened. So what do you do? Well, this is if you're doing grade 4 and 5 in associated board, you'll come across this things called double sharps. Okay, so if you're doing the first couple of grades in associated board, you might never have heard of these, but hopefully you will never come across this scale until you hit the higher grades. So what you have to do is raise that F from an F sharp to an F double sharp, and a double sharp just looks like an X. Okay, so that's a wee bit messy. I'll try that again. Let me see. Yeah, that's better. So there's your F double sharp. Okay, so it's just an X, that's the symbol for it. It looks like an X next to the note. And again, you need to raise it going up, oops, and going down. Okay, so it's going to be a wee bit messy, this one. So there we go. F double sharp coming down as well. So you can see that minor scales can be quite problematic when you're dealing with loads and loads of accidentals. So that's when you're dealing with loads of sharps. What happens when you deal with loads of flats? Well, I'll try one more, and then I think I'll leave harmonic minors behind and move on to melodic minors. But I'll just try one more scale, harmonic minor scale. If you just remember the processes of doing it, they shouldn't be that difficult actually. If you just remember what you do and in what order. So say we're looking for F harmonic minor. Count 3 semitones up from F. That's the first thing you do to find its relative major. So 3 semitones up from F, you're going to land on A flat. So A flat major is the relative major of F minor. So you should know that obviously you're using the flat rule. So look for where A is in the flat rule. Blanket explodes, and there it is. Count forward one word, that's how you use the flat rule. D. Blanket explodes and dad. The whole rule is blanket explodes and dad gets cold feet, but you just go as far as one word after A. Blanket explodes and dad. So A flat major has 4 flats. That means that F minor also has 4 flats. So again, draw in your scale going upwards first. I always go up first. You can go down if you like. In your exam you might be asked just to write the descending scale, or you could be asked to write the ascending and descending scale, but I always just do both. I always do the ascending first. Okay, so and here's the descending. Exactly the same thing as the last 3 harmonic minor scales we looked at. Just add in all of your accidentals. That's the first thing you need to do. So B flat goes in first, E flat, A flat, and D flat. Do the same thing for descending. B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. Okay, and again, this is the last thing that you do, raise the 7th note going up and going down. So again, what is the 7th note up from F? What is the 7th note in the scale of F minor? Well, F is the first, G is the second, A is the third, B is the fourth, C is the fifth, D is the sixth, and E. That's going to be your 7th note. But as you can see, it's been flattened because that's the accidental we took over from the relative major. Okay, so we got that accidental from the relative major. So what happens when you raise a flat? You have to raise it to a natural. Okay, so E flat now becomes E natural. And you do the same thing going up and going down. Put in your E natural. I would encourage you always to draw your naturals in rather than just rubbing out the flat and expect the examiner to know that you mean E natural. I would just encourage people just to always put in a natural, just to be absolutely crystal clear that you know that that note is a natural. Okay, so as you can see, sometimes when you're dealing with loads of sharps in your harmonic minors, you may have to raise a note that's already sharpened to a double sharp, and also very often in harmonic minors and minor keys in general, you're going to be raising a note that's flattened and it becomes a natural, as in this example. Okay, so look out for that when you're doing minor scales. You may be raising notes from sharps to double sharps or from flats to naturals, depending on if you're using the flat rule or the sharp rule. Okay, so that's basically harmonic minors. I know it seems a wee bit complex, but it's just knowing what steps to do. Same thing as before. For any minor scale that you're starting off with, or any minor key that you're starting off with, find its relative major first. That is the primary thing. Once you find that relative major, work out, are you using the flat or sharp rule? If it's A flat major, it's obviously the flat rule. Then work out what flats A flat major has, and then add all of them into your scale that we just did there now. And then the very last step, raise the seventh note going up and down. That's what makes a harmonic minor scale. That's the distinguishing characteristic. That's the feature of harmonic minors. The seventh note is raised ascending and descending. Okay, and that's harmonic minors. I think we'll look now at melodic minors. Okay, so we're going to look at melodic minors now, and there is an element of familiarity between melodic minors and harmonic minors, but as you can see, as it says on the slide, you raise the sixth and seventh notes going up only. Okay, so you raise the sixth and seventh and it's only going up. So we'll try a few examples of that just to get used to it. We'll do the same scales as we've done before with the harmonic minors. We did E harmonic, D harmonic, G sharp harmonic, and F harmonic minors. So I think we'll do the same now, but we'll do it with melodic minors just to compare and contrast the two of them. So say we're looking then for, oops, I better change that to black just to make it easier to read. So say we're looking for E melodic minor. Do exactly the same thing as you've done before. Convert it to the relative major. Excuse me. So you count up 3 semitones, and you should know that if you count 3 semitones up from E minor, you're going to hit G major. Okay, so that again, same thing as before. G major is the relative major to E minor. So you know as well from lessons 1 and 2 which rule to use. Do you use the flat rule or do you use the sharp rule? In this case we use the sharp rule because it's G major, it's not G flat major, which would use the flat rule. So G major uses the sharp rule. Count a letter back from G to find the last sharp. And the sharp rule is Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. So count a letter back from G and that'll get you the last sharp. That'll get you F. So a letter back from G gets you F. So F is the last sharp and it's also the first sharp of G major. And again, you just insert that F sharp into your scale of E melodic minor, because if G major has an F sharp, then E minor is also going to have an F sharp. So draw your scale as before, and as before, every single line in space between E and the top E needs to be used. Okay, so there's where your F sharp's going to go. And the same thing as before, I'll keep it to the treble clef, except I'll do it descending this time. Because it's important to do a descending scale and ascending scale for E melodic minor, because as you can see in the rule, it's the 6th and 7th which are raised, but they're raised going up only. So descending is going to be different, okay, than ascending. So as I just said, you raise the 6th and 7th going up. So C is raised to a sharp and D is raised to a sharp. They are your 6th and 7th notes. So unlike harmonic minor where you just raise the 7th, for melodic minor you raise the 6th and the 7th. Okay, and for descending, first thing you put in is that F sharp because that's your key signature. But then you don't do anything for these two notes. There is nothing that you need to do. There's nothing you need to put in there. Okay, so you only raise the 6th and 7th going up. So those notes are only raised going up. Okay, but when those notes are going downwards, when the melody is moving down the way, you do not raise those notes. And the reasons behind all this is to do with what the human voice was able to sing, and you get nasty augmented intervals. That's another lesson. We'll deal with intervals. That's the technical reason why you raise the notes going up, but you don't raise them coming down. Okay. So that is basically the ascending and the descending scale of E melodic minor. Okay. So that's what it looks like going up and going down. So going up you have the F sharp, going down you have the F sharp, but going up you also have to raise the 6th and 7th. Okay, so let's try a few more just to get used to this. So I'll just rub that out. As I said, I'll go through all the scales that we did for the harmonic minors. I'll do them again, except now for melodic minor. So now we're going to be looking for D harmonic minor. First thing again, as before with your harmonic minor, you have to find the relative major. Okay, so count 3 semitones up from D, and that will get you the relative major. Count 3 semitones up from D, and you will land on F. So F major is the relative major to D minor. And as you know from before, F major has a B flat. Okay, so if F major has a B flat, then D also has a B flat. So draw on your scale as before, from D to D. Sorry, some of these notes aren't exactly good. It's kind of hard to draw this on an iPad, but I'll give you a general idea. And here it is descending. Okay. And then put in your B flat, because that's your key signature. So every B is going to be flattened. Okay. Now this is an interesting part that we're coming to now. When you raise the 6th and 7th, okay, in D melodic minor, the 6th note and the 7th note is what you're looking for. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 6th, and there's your 7th. So what do you think you do? If you think that you change the flat to a natural, you're absolutely correct. Okay, so the flat is raised up to a natural, but C was already ordinary C natural, so we have to raise C up to a C sharp. So you see how in some minor scales you're going to have naturals and sharps, and sometimes you'll have naturals and flats and sharps and flats together, so you could have more than one type of accidental in a minor scale. Okay, so that's it raised going up, and coming down you don't need to do anything. Okay, so C sharp goes back to C natural, and B natural goes back to B flat. Okay, so for descending melodic minors, there's two that we've done so far. You'll notice that, well, hopefully you'll notice that the descending part, the only accidentals it's going to have is what you've been given from the relative major. Okay, because you don't raise any notes going down the way, so you don't raise any 6th or 7th note going down. So the only accidentals you should see for every D melodic minor scale that is going down the way as it's descending, the only accidentals you should see are the notes that, or the accidentals that you've been given from the relative major. We'll try a few more just to get used to this. I'll just rub all this out. So that was D melodic minor. We'll try two more, the same two as the harmonic minors we looked at earlier. So I'll get a wee bit tougher now because these are the ones that have loads and loads of accidentals. Okay, so I think the one that we did before was G sharp harmonic minor, so now we'll try G sharp melodic minor. So again, count 3 semitones up from G sharp to find its relative major. That gets you B major, so you're using the sharp rule. Count back a letter from B and you get A. That's your last sharp. So in the sharp rule is Father, Christmas, Give, Dad, and Electric Blanket. So B major has 5 sharps. So G sharp minor is also going to have 5 sharps. So put in all your notes first for the G scale, and then add your accidentals. Okay, so you need an F sharp, you need a C sharp, you need G sharps, plural, because there's one at the beginning and one at the end, and you need a D sharp, and you need A sharp. Okay. Okay, so we'll do one going down as well, so just from your G descending. And the same thing as before, put in your F sharp, put in your C sharp, put in your G sharps at the beginning and at the end, put in your D sharp, and put in your A sharp. Okay, so that's the first part of the process. You've put in all those sharps from the relative major. So now you do the second part, you do this part. You raise the 6th and 7th notes of the scale, but you only raise going up only. Okay, so count 6 notes up from G. 1 is G sharp is 1, A sharp is 2, B is 3, C sharp is 4, D sharp is 5, and E would be your 6th, and F sharp would be your 7th. So you need to raise these 2 notes. E is natural, so it's raised to an E sharp. And this is the difficult part again. So as before, you're going to be using double sharps. Okay, so F is raised from a F sharp to F double sharp. Okay, sorry, it looks a wee bit messy. So as you can see, you don't do anything going down. Okay, so that F double sharp goes back to being a normal F sharp, and the E sharp goes back to being a normal E. Okay, so the only accidentals that you use for descending are those that have been given to you from the relative major. So as you can see, there's a few differences between melodic minors and harmonic minors. The main differences are that in harmonic minors you raise the 7th going up and going down. In melodic minors you raise the 6th and the 7th but going up only. Okay, so those are the 2 main differences between melodics and harmonic minors. If you're able to follow this so far, you're doing really well, because this is basically as difficult as it ever gets for doing scales. So say if you're on grade 3 or grade 4, you're basically doing scales that you're going to be using right up to grade 8. There's not much more that you add to it really. So this is quite advanced theory, even though it's part of the basic music theory course. I'm sort of including all the scales that you'll ever need to know, even though it's just the basic music theory course. I'm just showing you the rules that you use for any scale, regardless if it's a grade 1 scale or a grade 2 scale or a grade 5 scale. It doesn't really matter, because you're just using the same rules over and over again. Okay, so we'll try one more and that will do us. I think the last one we had was F harmonic minor, so now we'll try F melodic minor. Again, find its relative major, count up 3 semitones, and that gets you a flat major. Sorry, my writing is really bad on the iPad. Okay, so A flat major. So obviously you're using the flat rule. So look for where A is in the flat rule. Blanket explodes and count a word forward. Dad. Blanket explodes and Dad gets cold feet. So blanket explodes and count one more forward. Dad. So that means that A flat major has 4 flats, B, E, A and D. So F minor is also going to have those 4 flats. So again, drawing your scale from F to F. I do the ascending first. Doesn't really matter, I suppose, which one you do first, just as long as you remember the rules. In your exam paper, if you're doing associated board exams, you could be asked just to write the descending melodic minor scale, or just the ascending. So you could be asked for both, write the ascending and descending scale. Sometimes they'll even ask you to put in the key signature and just add any accidentals that are needed, like your raised 6th and 7th. Or sometimes they'll ask you not to put in the key signature and include everything, all the accidentals from the key signature and the raised 6th and 7th. That's the way we're doing it. This is the more difficult way of doing it without a key signature. Okay, but it doesn't make any difference, I suppose, as long as you know that melodic minors you raise the 6th and 7th going up only, and harmonic minors you raise the 7th going up and down. That's it, really. So add in all your flats from A flat major. Okay, so you need a B flat, you need an A flat, you need an A flat, and you need a D flat. And the same thing going down. You need a B flat, you need an E flat, you need an A flat, and you need a D flat. Okay, and then raise the 6th and 7th going up only. So count 6 and 7 up from F. So F is 1, G is 2, A flat's 3, B flat's 4, C is 5, D flat is your 6th, and E flat is your 7th. So you need to raise those notes. They're already flattened, so what you need to do, that's right, you need to convert flats to naturals. And that's the only time you do it, okay, just going up. Descending, you don't do anything, you're just using the accidentals you were given from your relative major. And that's it, guys. That's basically scales. That's all your melodic minor scales. We've done all the harmonic minor scales, and the major scales from the very start. They were quite easy, okay, because you just go straight into your flat and sharp rule. So just remember, for harmonic minor and for melodic minor, your very first step is to get this. Find your relative major. Once you find the relative major, work out, are you using the flat or sharp rule? That'll get you the accidentals that are in that major scale. If those accidentals exist in that major scale, they also will exist in the minor scale, the relative minor. Okay, add in those accidentals first. That's very important. You add in those accidentals first, and then the final step is raise the 6th and 7th notes. Because as you can see, sometimes you're raising from a flat to a natural. Okay, and you'll only know to put in naturals here on the 6th and on the 7th degrees of the scale if you've put the flats in first. Okay, so it's very important that you do this step first. Okay, put in your accidentals, and then put in your raised 6th and 7th notes. So same thing as before with all the lessons what we've done so far. Have a go with them yourself. Try different scales that we haven't done in the videos. And if you have any problems with anything, just give me an email or contact me through the website. Just go to the About Me section, and there's a contact page to click on. So hopefully that's helped you with all the melodic minors, all your harmonic minors, and all your major scales.